I don't know, about 10 or 12 years ago, I offered my daughter the opportunity to get some really nice professional portraits done by me. The girl's lucky. She's got a father who's a professional photographer. I've got all the gear. I can just do this really nice portrait for her. Maybe she can use it on her MySpace or whatever was happening at the time. I think it was MySpace. Anyway, so I took the shots. I said, "So what do you think?" And she was like, "I don't know, Daddy. These don't really look all that good." And I was kind of surprised. I was like, "Well, what exactly is the problem with these pictures? They're good enough for other people. They're good enough for my clients." And she said, "Well, they just don't look very good." And so I said, "Well, what does look good to you? You know, maybe I was getting a little defensive. I don't know." And I said, "Well, what does look good to you?" And so she pointed out some of the pictures that her friends had on their profile pics, And I said, "So you think that these look good?" And let me tell you, even back then, it was a lot of duck lips and weird selfies and things like that. Just stuff that was technically not that great, photographically speaking. And she said, "Yeah, I want something like this. These look good." And it suddenly occurred to me what was happening here. That was her idea of what looked good, because that was what she was immersed in. This aesthetic of these young girls who would post up selfies. That was the going thing. So to her and to them, that's what looked good, because that's what they were used to. So my question for today is, what is your aesthetic bubble? If you have one, if you want to admit to having one, what's yours? And do you think that might be affecting what you consider, what you're thinking in terms of what good photography is? All right, so what's actually prompting this, I think, is, after a while, you see this stuff on Facebook and different places online where you see things where people are getting praise for work that, quite honestly, isn't really very good. It's not inspired. It's not very good technically or artistically. And you see enough of this stuff every so often. I know for me it happens. You go through these cycles of just getting a little bit frustrated. Lately, I've seen a lot of these false gods pop up, right? So you see people with just praising this amazing bokeh, right? Now, who doesn't like amazing bokeh? But that seems to be a thing now, that's just what everybody's going for. They're just chasing after this amazing bokeh. And, praise for wonderful color treatment and the use of presets, Photoshop and Lightroom presets and actions. Praise for sharpness. The other day, I came across one photographer who was giving kudos to another photographer, and in all seriousness, nothing ironic and sarcastic about it. He says, "Great shot, dude. You nailed the focus. You nailed the focus." So now we're giving each other high fives for being able to focus our cameras when doing a portrait. This was for a portrait. My warning here to a lot of you photographers who are kind of new to all this. You see this stuff on Facebook, that becomes your universe sometimes. I've seen this happen a lot, where people look to their peers on Facebook and on Flickr and things like that. They see what they post up, and that becomes their little aesthetic bubble. That becomes their universe of photography. And a lot of it, you know it, I know it, a lot of it is just really mediocre stuff. And a lot of it's the same stuff over and over again. If the stuff you see in Facebook photography groups is your universe for photography, I've got to tell you, personally, I think then your view of photography, your view of what good photography is going to be somewhat limited. What I see on Facebook is a lot of decent, technically well-executed photography in terms of somebody who can use a camera and who can get things in focus. But I also see a lot of the same old image manipulation. We were talking about bokeh before. I see a lot of fake bokeh just in those desperate attempts to get that look that they see other photographers doing with the right gear and the right technique. I see a lot of fake bokeh. I see a lot of cheesy stuff too, like I don't want to get into a debate on this, but selective color, and when it's done just really sloppily. It just, that's kind of frustrating to see. I see a lot of obliterated skin detail because just people just go crazy with the photoshopping. Basically, lots of overprocessed stuff without much imagination, just the same old thing over and over again. It's going to happen if you're immersed in that aesthetic, if you're immersed in this world of people producing the same types of pictures, different photographers doing the same pictures over and over and over again. That's going to limit you. That's going to limit you. My advice is to look to the true masters of photography. Now, the true masters of photography are not the people posting the same old shit on Facebook all the time, all right? And they're not necessarily people who are really skilled at Photoshop, and they're not necessarily people who are really good at digital image manipulation. The true masters are definitely not people like me. I can take a good picture once in a while, but I wouldn't call myself a master. When I was a kid, my exposure to the real masters of photography was through books, through library books. I remember that the Time Life series. I have a set of these books over here, and I'm constantly adding to that collection because I had access to all of these old Time Life books when I was a kid. I had built up a pretty good collection of these at one point, but I lost all of those books in a fire. I'm starting to rebuild my collection again. I'm pretty happy about that. So they're sitting over here on the shelf. That's what I keep looking over at. But yeah, it was the people who, were shooting those beautiful, well-composed black and white images that were just, these are the types of images that just captured the imagination. It wasn't like these guys were sitting around saying, whoa, nice picture, bro. And then he goes home and he, prepares a wet plate and does a picture just like his friend did, so that they can all compliment each other on things like focus. I don't know. But yeah, I want to go ahead and drop a list of some of my favorites down in the description below, so go ahead and check that out. I should have some links there, and maybe some links to some other videos where I talk about this stuff. But yeah, definitely, that's my big suggestion here, is to consult true masters of photography, not the guys who are really good at certain commercial types of photography, but people who are artists, living and dead. It doesn't matter, as long as what they were doing was creative, skilled, that captured the imagination, unique, inspiring. I think you know what I'm saying. Maybe another thing that's inspired this video is that lately I've been getting a lot of requests from people who send me to their Instagram or send some pictures my way, and they ask for my opinions. And what I'm seeing is a lot of stuff that fits with that whole Facebook typical photography aesthetic. I'm not seeing a lot of unique stuff. I'm seeing a lot of people sort of emulating what they see other people doing. And so you've got this just circular feedback loop of someone posts a picture and someone else posts a picture that's kind of similar to it, and then everybody starts thinking, oh, that's good photography because that's what everyone's doing. Well, really, everyone's just kind of regurgitating the same thing. It's not even cliche. It's worse than cliche. It's unimaginative. So back to my main point. I'm encouraging you to please break out of this little aesthetic bubble you're in. If that's all you do, you look to Facebook and you compare your work to the people who are posting on Facebook, you got to realize that these people are your peers. Most of them are really not that good, okay? None of us are really that good. So we have to look elsewhere for that inspiration. We have to look elsewhere to sort of bring ourselves up beyond this level. And so, yeah, check those links out that I'm going to drop below. Above all, just realize that there's more out there than what you're finding online. So do good work, use your imagination, don't accept what you see online as like the best. Look for that elsewhere, look inwards, look to yourself, break free from any cliches. Please, no more pretty girls in front of graffiti walls. I know I've done that, you've probably done it, we've all done it. We just, it's okay to emulate and experiment and do things like that. But once you know a little bit about taking pictures and doing, and good lighting, it's time to break past all of this mediocre crap and do something better. I guess that's my message for you today. That's my hope for you. Hey, thanks for hanging out with me. If you like this video, go ahead and click that like button. If you haven't already, go ahead and click subscribe. That's about all I have for you today, guys. I'll see you next time.